Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Sonteo, just doing another video with all the list of current RGBA fighters. Today is Wednesday, so today is weigh-ins day for Genaro El Conde Gamez, 9-0 from San Diego. He did his training camp out in, did a couple weeks in Boston. He's from San Diego. He's promoted by Golden Boy Promotions. He'll be fighting on what called Thursday Night Fights with Golden Boy on the Zone. His opponent is Luis Feliciano. He's from Rancho Cucamonga. He's 12-0 with 8 knockouts. This will be taking place at the Fantasy Springs Resort and Casino. If you want to follow him for updates, at Genaro Gamez on Instagram. And then on Saturday, Alexis Espino, 3-0, 2 knockouts. He is the only fighter on Team RGBA promoted by Eddie Hearn's Matchroom Boxing. Will be fighting in Hermosillo, Sonora, which is about 5 hours south of Nogales, Arizona. Alexis Espino, 3-0, 2 knockouts. Fights at one. He's trying to get down to 160. He's fought at 155, 154, if I'm not mistaken. If you want to follow him, he's at _Alexis Espino 1. He's from Las Vegas. Here is, and then also on the Tyson Fury undercard is Isidro Ochoa, 7-0, RGBA fighter. I got to add him back onto the list, but here's a picture of some of the amateur fighters out of RGBA. They were 5-1 at a tournament in Menifee. There you see some of them with their belts. Mikey Garcia, 39-1, 30 knockouts. No news on him. He has not been seen in the gym the last few weeks. Suffered a loss versus Errol Spence, and there's the last thing we've heard of him is trying to figure out whether his next fight is at 147 or at 140. He did go and do 4 or 5 weeks up in San Francisco at the snack facility to get into shape, but we have no news on him. If you want to follow him, he's at Team Mikey Garcia on Instagram. Abner Mares, 31-3-1. He is dieting, and I think he has the green light to train from his doctor. He's recovering from a detached retina that he suffered in sparring. So if you want to follow him, he's at Abner Mares on Instagram or at Abner Mares official. Josesito Lopez, 36-8, was seen in the gym recently, and there was it's good that he's been in the gym recently because he is going to land on the Errol Spence versus Sean Porter undercard. Him and 2 other fighters from RGBA, Lindolfo and Misael, if I'm not mistaken. So if you want to follow him, he's at Jose Lopez. I believe his opponent is John Molina. Josesito Lopez, Riverside Rocky, 36-8 from Riverside. At Jose Lopez on Instagram if you want to follow him. Jose Carlos Ramirez, 25-0, 17 knockouts. He had a knockout win over Maurice Hooker, July 27th in Dallas, Texas. If you want to follow him, he's at JC Ramirez 2012 from Avenal. He's the current WBC and now WBO, if I'm not mistaken, the belt he got from Hooker, 140 champion. Brandon Bam Bam Rios, 35-5-1. You can follow him at Brandon Rios 1. Esquiva Falcao, 24-0, 16 knockouts. His last fight was in Maryland, and he was seen in the gym, seen in the ring. You couldn't tell who he was yelling at, but he might have been calling out a fighter, potentially Murata, for a title shot. So Esquiva Falcao, 24-0. He's an Olympian. He's from Brazil. Fights at 160. He's a southpaw. At Esquiva Falcao on Instagram if you want to follow him. Erick DeLeon, 19-0-1. His fight was canceled in July, but it sounds like he has something in the works. So some news from him to be coming soon. At Team DeLeon 1 on Instagram if you want to follow him. Hector Tanajara improves to 18-0. He had a fight with Ezequiel Aviles. Many of the media and many people on social media classified his fight that night as putting on a boxing clinic. So Hector Tanajara, the WBC 135 youth champion. If you want to follow him on Instagram, he's at Hector_Tanajara. Carlos Caballo Bronco Adames, 18-0, 14 knockouts. He's the NABF and NABO champion at 154. The 154 division is stacked with PBC fighters like Julian J-Rock Williams and Jermel Charlo. So Carlos Caballos with top rank. So we'll see if in the next year or two he gets a title shot. So Carlos Caballo Bronco Adames, 18-0, 14-0. He's from the Dominican Republic. If you want to follow him on Instagram, he's at Caballo Bronco. Jackson El Phoenix Marinez, 18-0, 5 knockouts. He's a super lightweight. So that makes him 130. No, that makes him 140. Lightweight's 135. Super lightweight's 140. He's from the Dominican Republic. He won his fight in July. If you want to follow him, he's at L_Phoenix. Jonathan Thunder Navarro, 16-0, 8 knockouts. He is training out of the Maywood Boxing Gym, and he has hinted at a fight date being announced very soon. So at Thunder Navarro, if you want to follow him, he has fought all of his fights under RGBA. This is the first time we see him not training out of Riverside or Oxnard. So Jonathan Thunder Navarro from Golden Boy Promotions, 16-0, 8 knockouts out of East LA. At Thunder Navarro on Instagram if you want to follow him. Carlos Licona, 15-1, 2 knockouts. He is fighting September 21st in Lancaster. He goes by Mexicanito12 on Instagram if you want to follow him. Joshua El Profesor Franco, 15-1 2. He just kept his belts. He had another draw with Oscar Negrete. He's from San Antonio. He's promoted by Golden Boy Promotions. He fights at 118, if I'm not mistaken. He's fought as low as 115, but he's a bantamweight. At 1, Professor Franco, if you want to follow him on Instagram. Vergil Ortiz Jr., there you see him in a picture with Antonio Orozco. Knocked out Orozco, I believe, which was in the 6th round. Knocked him down in the very early in the round, and then knocked him down 2 more times. The ref called the fight after the 3rd knockdown. Improves to 14-0, 14 knockouts. This is his 2nd fight at 147. He is trained by his father, Vergil Ortiz Sr., along with help from Hector Beltran, and along with Pita and Robert. So, and he has dabbled a little bit with Charles Tremblay, which is the strength and conditioning coach of Jose Carlos Ramirez, since they train out of the same gym. So Vergil Ortiz, 14-0, 14 knockouts. But I wouldn't call him a prospect anymore. I think he's a contender. His dad thinks he's a contender. He could give anybody problems with the belt at 147. When asked if he was ready for Errol Spence Jr., his answer was very clear. I see that fight happening in the future. Just give me a little bit more time, and I see that fight happening at 154. He said he's 14-0 now. He sees the fight happening maybe when he's 24-0 or 25-0 was his response. So, but definitely happening at 154. They're from the same gym, and Errol actually went out to Vergil's fight a couple weeks ago when he fought Antonio Orozco. So Vergil Ortiz Jr., in my eyes, one of the hottest. I'm not going to call him a prospect. I'm going to call him a contender. One of the hottest contenders out of Golden Boy Promotions stable right now. Has all the fire behind him. Has all the momentum in the world. So if you want to follow him, he's at Vergil Ortiz. If you want to follow his dad, he's at Vergil Ortiz SR. If you want to follow Hector Beltran is at HEX Beltran. And if you want to follow Pita, it's _Garcia Pita. Joseph Adorno, 13-0, 11 knockouts. He won his fight on the Shakur Stevenson card. And if you want to follow him, he's at Real Joseph Adorno. I believe he fights at 130. He's a top-ranked promoted fighter. He's from Allenstown, Pennsylvania. And he goes by the name Blessed Hands. John El Terrible Bauza, 13-0, 5 knockouts. Fought on that same card with his stablemate Joseph Adorno. If you want to follow him on Instagram, he's at Real John Bauza. I believe he fights at 140. Louie Coria scheduled to fight September 6th in San Bernardino. He's 12-2-0 at King Louie 416 if you want to follow him on Instagram. Hector Valdez improved to 11-0. He fought on that card, on the undercard of Vergil Ortiz in Dallas, Texas. He's a super bantamweight. He did his last few weeks of training here in Riverside. I don't know if he's being adopted into the RGBA family, but clearly he was out in Riverside with his friend Joshua Franco training for this fight. He got the win, and we'll keep an eye on him. I follow him on Instagram now, and we'll see where he goes from now. Lindolfo Delgado will be fighting September 28th on the Errol Spence versus Sean Porter card in Los Angeles. He's 10-0, 10 knockouts. He's a Mexican Olympian. There you see him with the Big G. Big G is very fond of this young man. On the right is the other RGBA trainer that goes on Instagram by JA_Contreras. His nickname is Chepe. If you want to follow Lindolfo Delgado, he's one of two fighters trained by, promoted by Richard Schaefer's Ringstar Sport. At Lindolfo Delgado on Instagram if you want to follow him. Alejandro Porkchop Guerrero, 10-0, 9 knockouts. We haven't heard from him much. At Porkchop_214 if you want to follow him on Instagram. Brandon Bulletproof Glanton, 10-0. If you want to follow him, he's at Team Bulletproof. Misael El Chino Rodriguez will be fighting on the 28th on the Errol Spence versus Sean Porter undercard. 9-0, 4 knockouts. Hasn't fought in over a year. At Misael Oti on Instagram. Jesse Bam Rodriguez took care of business with third round knockout versus Cesar Garcia, another undefeated fighter. So Jesse Bam Rodriguez, the only fighter promoted by Tekken Promotions, improves to 10-0. At 210 Bam on Instagram if you want to follow him. Aaron the Silencer McKenna, 8-0, 147. Keep an eye out for him. He's one of the newest additions to Team RGBA. There you see him for sparring versus Jose Carlos Ramirez. Ray Danger Muratalla, 8-0, 5 knockouts. I believe he's scheduled to fight on Prospects Collide 2, September 6th in San Bernardino. If you want to follow him, he's from Fontana, at Ray_Muratalla1. Jose Ruben Rodriguez, 8-0, 3 knockouts. He just fought last Friday. He is on schedule to fight a total of 7 or 8 times this year. He is pretty much fought in January, March, June, fought in August. I'm missing one of his dates there. I think this is his 5th or 6th fight already this year, and he's scheduled to fight again in September, and he's scheduled to fight again in December, if I'm not mistaken. So one of the busiest prospects. He's from Indio. His dad is very involved in his boxing career. He has, I believe he's the middle brother. I'm not 100% sure, but he has a younger brother who might potentially go pro next year in 2020. He fights at 140, so he has world-class elite sparring with Jose Carlos Ramirez, with Vergil Ortiz, with Lindolfo Delgado. All those guys at 140, Ruben gets in there and gives a good sparring round. So he's being moved across several different promoters. He's fought on top rank cards. He's fought on PBC cards. If I'm not mistaken, he might have fought on a Golden Boy card. The first 2 promoters are for sure. The third one I might not. I'm not 100% sure, but he's definitely the busiest. I thought Aaron Morales was super busy last year with 5 fights in 9 months, but Ruben Rodriguez is definitely is outdoing that work. So if you want to follow him, he's at RubenNR_ on Instagram. Aaron Morales, and like I just mentioned, he was the busiest fighter of 2018. He debuted in March and fought another 4 times through September. So he's fought 2 more times this year, improving to 7-0, and he'll be fighting September 21st in Lancaster on a PBC card. At Aaron_Morales, that's 3 S's at the end of Morales if you want to follow him on Instagram. Brian Lua, one of the most talented kids, or I should not say kids, one of the most talented men on RGBA stable, but I think he's been going through a lot of injuries. So he's 5-0 with 2 knockouts. I have no update on him, but definitely one of the, in Robert's words, one of the most talented kids out of RGBA. I believe he fights at 135. It might be 130, but it might be 135. At Brian_Lua, he's promoted by Top Rank. Robert Biggie Rodriguez improves to 5-0. He'll be fighting on that Lancaster card, that PBC card on September 21st. At Biggie JR_, I believe he fights at flyweight. or maybe even junior flyweight, 112. I think he fights at 112. Ivan Garcia, 5-0. He will be making his RGBA pro debut September 6th. He is from Paris. He fights at 118. So he has plenty of sparring partners at 118 or featherweight there at the gym. And he goes by Ivan_Garcia. Replace the A in Ivan with the number 3. Ivan_Garcia on Instagram. Breenan B-Fly Macias, 3-0 with 2 draws. He will be fighting again September 6th in San Bernardino at B_Fly301. If you want to follow him, he's from Phoenix, Arizona. Izaac Colunga is making his return to California. He's been out in a rehabilitation hospital in Denver. Prayers to him, prayers for his recovery. If you want to follow his story, his mom is at Carrie Colunga on Instagram. His aunt is at Shelly_Shell12 on Instagram as well. And a family friend, Dodger Girl 19 on Instagram. He is, if you want to follow him, at Team_Colunga. He is the victim of a drive-by shooting, I believe in the Riverside area. So prayers out to the Colunga family and prayers for Isaac. Stevie Hitman McKenna, 3-0, 3 knockouts. He is him and his brother are just new to RGBA. I believe they're top ranked fighters. No, I'm mistaken. They're promoted by Golden Boy Promotions. So some of their sponsors: Sheer Sport Athletic and Hawk Media. Jeremy Magic Hands Adorno improved to 2-0 with 1 knockout. He is the younger brother to Joseph Adorno. He is promoted by Top Rank, and he just fought August 10th in Philadelphia at Magic Hands_Jeremy. If you want to follow him on Instagram, the professional fighter that they have out of Central Valley RGBA is Evan Sanchez. He's 5-0 with 3 knockouts. If you want to follow him, he's at Real Evan Sanchez on Instagram. Manny Flores is affiliated with the team. He is managed by a good friend of Robert's, manager Cameron Duncan, and he made his RGBA pro debut in June on their fight card, on the card that they had there in San Bernardino. So if you want to follow him, he's at Gucci Manny on Instagram. There you see him. He's a southpaw fighter, and you see him in the picture with Abner Mares, as Abner Mares was preparing to fight a southpaw in Gervonta Tank Davis, but he suffered that detached retina and had to pull out of the fight. Alfredo Escarcega, 8-0. He's from the same gym as B-Fly. I believe it's called F1 Gym in Phoenix, Arizona. 8-0, 4 knockouts. And in June, he also made his RGBA pro debut. He got the win, improved to 8-0, and then he's scheduled to fight again September 6th at the Prospect Collide 2 in San Bernardino. If you want to follow him on Instagram, he's at ae.jr. So the accumulation of fights that I put together, their record is 57, 4-3, 57 wins, 4 losses, 3 draws. Their amateur record is 16-4. A special shout out to the official photographer of Team RGBA. He goes by Cumbia. And then also a shout out to everybody who gives us updates, like Ellie from ES News, at Ellie Setback is his Instagram. Vergil Ortiz Jr., who gives us a lot of live Instagram videos to keep us updated on Vergil's career. At Frantic_1, who was a chef for the team, who gives us a lot of behind the scenes footage as well. And thank you for Rainbow, at Teased by Rainbow, for giving us a lot of updates on Mikey Garcia. I know there's tons of other people affiliated with the team. So thank you to all of you guys. That helps us, the fans, stay updated on Team RGBA there in Riverside, Oxnard, Central Valley, and San Antonio. I'm Sonteo Media. Please like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at Sonteo_media. You can follow me on Instagram, Sonteo_media. Have a great day, everybody.